The Breakup, Rusev and Aiden English edition. Welcome back to the ACB Wrestling Talk channel, your main source for wrestling news, topics, discussion, previews, all that kind of good stuff. I am your host, Alexis Carrillo, and tonight we have what is arguably, and I've said this in the past, what is arguably the best show on the main roster in WWE. We have the September 25th, 2018 edition of SmackDown Live. Now, for the official lineup, there isn't that much to talk about, but what there is a lot of topics, a lot of rivalries, a lot of feuds, so let's get right into it. First of all, a shocker in some sorts last week with Aiden English turning on Rusev after months and months and months of Rusev Day. And the fact is, about a month ago, maybe even less, people could already tell that they were building up to this breakup. They were building up to either Rusev dumping Aiden English because he was incompetent and he couldn't get the job done, or it was Aiden English who would have dumped Rusev, who would have broken up with Rusev because he just wasn't as respected as Lana, or didn't feel as important to Rusev Day as Rusev and Lana themselves. And surprise, surprise, last week, during the United States title match, where I predicted that Rusev would win the US title so they could bring title back into the forefront, funny thing happened. Aiden English, in a kind of stupid way, got on the apron. When he got on the apron, I thought he was going to jump Rusev from behind. He didn't. He said Rusev crushed. That took Rusev off his game. That took him out of his focus. And then came Nakamura's roll-up. And just as a side note, it just continues to surprise me how bad Nakamura's US title reign has been. Because every time he's defended the US title, he's either defended it successfully because somebody else interfered, or he just doesn't appear on the show. So WWE really has to work on giving Shinsuke Nakamura a better rivalry, a better program, specifically because he is the United States champion. Anyway, back to the topic. Rusev, Aiden English, they were building up to this breakup. Everyone was expecting it. I was not expecting them to win the tag titles at, Hell in a Cell. It was a very entertaining match. I will admit that during that match, it did seem like they might make the turn, but they didn't. There was some kind of dissension amongst the group, thus planting the seeds, and now we get this. Now we get Aiden English turning on Rusev, which is very interesting because before Rusev Day, Aiden English was a jobber. He was pretty much the first person in line, or one of the first people in line to be future endeavored by WWE. And now he comes with Rusev Day, and he shows off his mic skills, he shows off his singing skills. And I don't know if without Rusev Day, if without Rusev accompanying him, can he continue this? Can he maintain this brash heel persona that he's been having with Rusev, to the point that even after he loses this program to Rusev, because that is, I think, what should happen, he should lose this program to Rusev, Rusev should move up the card, but after this, should Aiden English, or how will Aiden English, rather, recover from that and try to, maintain himself as a part of the program? That's my main question. But overall, I see Rusev winning this feud, no questions asked. That's what I believe. And then we also have a contract signing. We have AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. They make their match at WWE Super Show-Down in Melbourne, Australia official. And if I understand this correctly, this will be the final match that they face each other in. No matter what the result is, whether AJ Styles retains, however the circumstances might be, or whether Samoa Joe wins the title, I don't believe AJ Styles would get his rematch. At least that's how they've been stipulated up to this point, which, I've got to admit, gets me excited, because I've said this in the past, I'm not a fan of the rematch clause. I'm not a fan of pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view, rematch after rematch after rematch. Get it over with. And we saw this earlier in the year with AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, and now it seems we've got the same thing going with AJ and Joe. And as much as I would love for Samoa Joe to win that WWE Championship, I have been a big fan of Samoa Joe for years now, and you remember me saying that on the SummerSlam prediction, that I would absolutely be on board with Joe winning the title, specifically with this heel persona he's developed into. I just don't see the point of dropping that title right now, dropping that title in Australia. Mostly because of the other match that was promoted last week. We got The Miz coming out on Miz TV and saying that he would face Daniel Bryan at Super Show-Down, and the winner would become the #1 contender for the WWE Championship. To which I say that's perfect. Not because I think Daniel Bryan is going to win that match and go on to have a dream match with AJ Styles for the WWE title. I don't think it's going to be that simple, and I don't think it's going to be that fast and that quick to get Daniel Bryan back on top. But because I think The Miz is going to win that title, well, he's going to win that #1 contender match once again, underhandedly, screwing Daniel Bryan out of that chance. Going on to dethrone AJ Styles, which is much needed because, yes, he's had a long title reign. Yes, he is a very entertaining champion, and he does very much deserve it. But it's time for a change in scenery, and The Miz certainly is one of the top players, not only on SmackDown, but on WWE today. And he got a little bit short-handed all the way back in 2011 when he was WWE Champion, specifically on the road to WrestleMania. That match against John Cena, it wasn't about John Cena versus The Miz. It was about John Cena and The Rock and their beef. And The Miz, being WWE Champion, gloating about the fact that he's going to main event that show and trying to intervene and put himself in the middle of that feud when he's the champion heading into WrestleMania. In this case, I think The Miz wins the WWE title. The WWE Universe, the fans, they finally get what they want. Daniel Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania. Whether that be him winning the Rumble or not, we'll just have to wait and see. But I do think they're leading up to, or it could be a possibility, The Miz versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. And let's go back to another heated feud. Last week, during Becky Lynch's championship coronation, things got personal. Becky Lynch poked at every single hole, at every single nerve in Charlotte's body. She really got under her skin time and time again, and it wasn't until that very last quote, "Call me queen," and then bitch. And I gotta say this, WWE is booking Becky Lynch as the heel in this feud. Not as the cowardly heel that they usually do, but she is the heel. The only reason Becky Lynch is not the heel is because WWE fans and the universe won't accept that. They won't accept the fact that a superstar that they love in Becky Lynch is being positioned as the bad guy. And I say this because a lot of you fans might be saying, no, she's the good guy, Charlotte's the bad guy. Okay, that's how you see it, but that's not how WWE is positioning it. Because if that were the case, during last week's confrontation, the minute Becky Lynch called her out on one little thing, Charlotte would have gone after her, would have beaten her up, and would have took the mic and just laid some smack talk on her. She did not. She held herself off. She held herself back as her best friend, or former best friend, however you want to consider it. And it wasn't until Becky Lynch crossed that line that she just couldn't take it no more and took her down. One thing I will say about this, this feud cannot end at Super Showdown, and it will not end at Super Showdown, because you need a very personal feud. You need a rivalry that you can be invested in for Evolution. That's where I see this feud ending. So no title change. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was a no contest or a double countout or a double DQ at Super Showdown amongst these two ladies. I think they are facing each other. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. And finally, we've got Big E versus Sheamus in a singles match leading up to their tag team title match defense at Super Showdown. Not much to say about that except that I do hope the Bar win the tag team titles very nearly in the future, because they have been shafted in the SmackDown tag team division ever since they got shaken up or drafted or whatever they're calling that. So that's what I believe. That's a SmackDown preview for tonight's episode of SmackDown Live. Make sure you tune in on USA Network to catch this awesome show. If you like wrestling news, topics, discussion, previews, all that kind of good stuff, consider subscribing. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. That's it for me. Till next time.